Hello everyone, welcome to EnglishKul. Today is the day 15 of 100-day reading challenge and we have a book Atomic Habit. So yesterday we have completed chapter number 18 and today is we will read chapter number 19. So before started, let me remind you guys, I have shared my community number in WhatsApp where you can message me or we can help each other to improve our fluency or doing practice. Number is 9873976739. Please WhatsApp me or you can also comment me on our video section. So, chapter 19. Let me see how many pages in this chapter. Oh, today we can read, I guess, both of chapters. Okay, today we'll complete 19 and 20 both of chapters. So, 19th chapter, the Goldilocks rule, how to stay motivated in life and work. In 1955, Disneyland had just opened in Anaheim, California, when a 10-year-old boy walked in and asked for a job. Labor laws were loose back then and the boy managed to land a position selling guidebooks for 50 cents a piece. Within a year, he had transmitted to Disney Magic Shop, where he learned trick from the older employee. He experimented with jokes and tried out simple routine on visitors. Soon he discovered that what he loved was not performing magic but performing in general. He set his sights on becoming a comedian. It wasn't glamorous work, but there was no doubt he was getting better. His first routine would only last 1 or 2 minutes. By high school, his material had explained to include a 5-minute act, and a few years later, a 10-minute show, and at 19, he was performing weekly for 20 minutes at a time. He had to read three poems during the show just to make the routine long enough, but his skills continued to progress. He spent another decade experimenting, adjusting, and practicing. He took a job as a television writer, and gradually he was able to land his own appearance on talk shows. By the mid 1970s, he had worked his way into being a regular guest on The Tonight Show and Saturday Night Live. His name is Steve Martin. Martin's story offers a fascinating perspective on what it takes to stick with habits for the long run. Comedy is not for the timid. It is hard to imagine a situation that would strike fear into the hearts of more people, often performing along on stage and falling and failing to get a single laugh, and yet Steve Martin faced this fear every week for 18th year. In his words, 10 years spent learning, 4 years spent refining, and 4 years as a wild success. Why it is that some people like Martin stick with their habits, whether practicing jokes or drawing cartoons or playing guitar, while most of us struggle to stay motivated? How do we design habits that pull us in rather than ones that fade away? Scientists have been studying this question for many years. While there is still much to learn, one of the most consistent findings is that the way of maintain motivation and achieve peak levels of desire is to work on tasks of just manageable difficulty. Now, consider playing tennis against someone who is your equal. As the game progresses, you win a few points and you lose a few. You have a good chance of winning, but only if you really try. Your focus narrows, distraction fade away, and you find yourself fully invested in the task at hand. This is a challenge of just manageable difficulty, and it is a prime example of Goldilocks rule. The Goldilocks rule states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard and not too easy, just right. When you are starting a new habit, it's important to keep the behavior as easy as possible so you can stick with it even when conditions are not perfect. This is an idea we covered in detail while discussing the third law of behavior change. Once a habit has been established, however, it is important to continue to advance in small ways. These little improvements and new challenges keep you engaged, and if you hit the Goldilocks zone just right, you can achieve a flow state. How to stay focused when you get bored working on your goals. After my baseball career ended, I was looking for a new sport. I joined a weightlifting team for one day and elite coach visited our gym. He had worked with thousands of athletes during his long career, including a few Olympics. I introduced myself and we began talking about the process of improvement. What the difference between the best athlete and everyone else? I asked. We do the what do the really successful person do the most don't? His answer surprised me because it's a different way of thinking about work ethic. People talk about getting amped up to work on their goals, whether it's business or sports or art. Your heart, people say things like it's it all comes down to passion or you have to really want it. As a result, many of us get depressed when we lose focus or motivations because we think that successful people have some bottomless reserve or passion. But saying this coach was saying that really successful people feel the same a lack of motivation as everyone else. The difference is that they still find a way to show up despite the feeling of boredom. The greatest threat to success is not failure but boredom. We get bored with habits because they stop delighting us. The outcome becomes expected, and as our habits becomes ordinary, we start derailing on our progress to seek novelty. Perhaps this is why we get caught up in the never ending cycle, jumping from one workout to the next, on one diet to the next, one business idea to the next. As soon as we experience the slightest dip in motivation, we being seeking a new strategy, even if the old one was still working. Perhaps this is why many of the most habit-forming products are those that provides continuous forms of novelty. Video games provides visual novelty, porn provides sexual novelty, junk food provides a culinary novelty. Each of these experiences often continual elements of the surprise. In psychology, this is known as a variable reward. Slot machines are the most common real world example. A gambler hits the jackpot every now and then, but not at any predict interval. The piece of rewards varies, the variance leads to the greatest spike of dopamine, enhance memory recall, and accelerate habit formation. The sweet spot of desire occurs at a 50-50 split between success and failure. Half of the time you get what you want, half of the time you don't. You need just enough winning to experience satisfaction and just enough wanting to experience desire. This is one of the benefit of following the Goldilocks rule. If you are already interested in a habit, working on challenges of just manageable difficulty in a good way to keep things interesting. Variable rewards or not, no habit will stay interesting forever. At some point, everyone faces the same challenges on the journey of self improvement. You have to fall in love with boredom. We all have goals that we would like to achieve and dreams that we would like to fulfill, but it doesn't matter what you are trying to become better at. If you only do the work when it's convenient or exciting, then you will never be consistent enough to achieve remarkable results. Professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs let life get in the way. Professionals know what is important to them and work towards with purpose. Amateurs get pulled off courses by the urgencies of life. David Kane, an author and meditation teach encourage his students to avoid being fair weather meditators. Similar, you don't want to be a fair weather athlete or a fair wear, a right or a fair weather anything. When a habit is truly important to you, you have to be willing to stick to it in any mood. Professionally take action even when the mood isn't right. They might not enjoy it, but they find a way to put the reps in. The only way to become excellent is to be endlessly fascinated by doing the same thing over and over. You have to fall in love with boredom. So, guys, this was the end of chapter 19. There is some summary, chapter summary in 4 points. Actually, it's 5 points. So, first point is the Goldilocks rule states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Second, the greatest threat to success is not failure but boredom. Third, as habits become routine, they become less interesting and less satisfying. We get bored. Fourth, anyone can work hard when they feel motivated. It's the ability to keep going when work isn't exciting that makes the difficult. Fifth and last, professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs let life get in the way. So this was the end of chapter 19. So I thought that today we have to finish the chapter 20 as well. So 20th chapter, the downside of creating good habits. Habits create the foundation for mastery. In chess, it is only after the basic movements of the pieces have become automatic that a player can focus on the next level of the game. Each chunk of information that is memorized open up the mental space for more effortful thinking. This is true for any endeavor. When you know these simple movements so well that you can perform them without thinking, you are free to pay attention to more advanced detail. In this way, habits that are backbone of any pursuit of excellence. The upside of habit is that we can do things without thinking. The downside of habits is that you get used to doing things a certain way and stop paying attention to little errors. You assume you are getting better because you are gaining experience. In reality, you are merely you are merely reinforcing your current habits, not improving them. In fact, some researchers have shown that once a skill has been mastered, there is usually a slight decline in performance over time. Usually, this minor dip in performance is no cause for worry. You don't need a system to continuously improve how well you brush your teeth or tie your shoe or make your morning cup of tea. However, when you want to maximize your potential and achieve a light level of performance, you need a more nuanced approach. You can't repeat the same things blindly and expect to become exceptional. Habits are necessary but not sufficient for mastery. What you need is a combination of automatic habits and deliberate practice. Habits plus habit plus deliberate practice is equal to mastery. Wow, this is a nice formula. Habit plus deliberately practice is equal to mastery. Good one. Mastery is the process of narrowing your focus to a tiny element of success, repeating it until you have internalized the skill, and then using this new habit as the foundation to advance to the next frontier of your develop. All tasks become easier and easier the second time around, but it doesn't get easier overall because now you are pouring your energy into the next challenge. Each habit unlocks the next level of performance. It's an endless cycle. How to review your habits and make adjustments. In 1986, the Los Angeles Lakers had one of the most talented basketball teams ever assembled, but they are rarely uh, remembered that way. The team started the 1985-1986 NBA season with a astounding 29-5 records. The pundits were saying that might be the best team in the history of basketball. Head coach Pat Riley said after the season, surprisingly, the Lakers stumbled in 1986 playoff and suffered a season-ending defeat in the Conference final. The best team in the history of basketball didn't even play for the NBA championship. When players first joined the Lakers, Riley explained, we track their basketball statistics all the way back to high school. I call this tracking their number. We look for an accurate judge of what a player can do, then build him into our plan for the team based on the notion that he will maintain and then improve upon his average. After determining a player baseline level of performance, Rely added a key step. He asked each player to improve their output by the least 1% over the course of the season. If they succeed, it would be a CBE or career best effort, similar to the British cycling team, what we discussed in chapter 1. Yes. The Lakers shot peak performance by getting slightly better each day. An example, let's say that Magic Johnson, the Lakers start players at the time, had 11 points, 8 um, rebounds, 12 assists to steal 5 turnover in a game. Magic also got credit for the for an unsung hero by dividing after a losing ball. Finally, he played a total of 33 minutes in the imaginary game. The Lakers also emphasized year-over-year progress by making historical comparison of CBSE data. Relay said, we stacked the month of November 1986 next to November 1985 and showed the players whether they were doing better or worse than at the same point last season. Then we showed them how their performance figure for December 1986 stacked up against November. The CBE performance in prime example of the power of reflection and review. The Lakers were already talented. CBE helped them get the most out of what they had and made sure their habits improved rather than declined. Reflection and review enables the long-term improvements of all habits because it makes you aware of your mistakes and helps you consider possible paths for improvements. Without reflection, we can make excuse, create rationalization, and lie to ourselves. We have no process for determine whether we are performing better or worse compared to yesterday. It's not just athletes either. When comedian Chris Rock is preparing fresh material, he will first appear at small nightclubs dozens of times and test hundreds of jokes. He brings a notepad on stage and records which bites go over well and where you need to make adjustments. The a few killers that survived will form the backbone of the new show. I know of executives and investors who keep a decision journal in which they record the major decision they make each week, they why they made them and what they expect the outcome to be. They review their choice at the end of each month of year to see where they were correct and where they went wrong. Personally, I employ two primary modes of reflection and review each December. I perform an annual review in which I reflect on the previous year. I tally my habit for the year by counting up how many athletes I published, how many workouts I put in, how many new places I visited, and more. Then I reflect on my progress or lack thereof by answering three questions. 6 months later, when summarized rolls around, I conducted integrity report like everyone. I make a lot of mistakes. My integrity report helps me realize where I went wrong and motivates me to get back on course. I use it at a time to revisit my course value and consider whether I have been living in accordance with them. This is when I reflect on my identity and how I can work towards being the type of person I wish to become. These, these two reports don't take very long, just a few hours per year, but they were crucial periods of refinement. They prevent the gradual slide that happens when I don't pay close attention. They provide an annual reminder to revisit my desired identity and consider how many habits are helping my become the type of person I wish to be. Reflection can also bring a sense of perspective. Daily habits are powerful because of how they compound, but worrying too much about every daily choice is like looking at yourself in the mirror from an inch away, and you can see every imperfection and lose sight of the day. Bigger picture, there is too much feedback. Conversely, reviewing your habits is likely never looking in the mirror. You are not aware of easily fixable flaws. A spot on your shirt, a bit of food in your teeth. There is too little feedback. Periodic reflection and a review is like viewing yourself in the mirror from a conversational distance. You can see the important changes you should make without losing sight of the bigger picture. You want to view the entire mountain range, not obsess over each peak and valley. Finally, reflection and review offers an ideal time to revisit one of the most important aspects of behavior change identity. So, guys, this was the end of chapter 20. Here is some summary of this chapter. There are four bullet points. First is the upside of habits is that we can do things without thinking. The downside is that we stop paying attention to little errors. Second, habits plus deliberate practice is equal to mastery. Reflection and review is a process that allows you to remain conscious of your performance over time. And fourth and last, the tighter we cling to an identity, the harder it becomes to grow beyond. So, guys, this was the end of chapter as well as uh, finish of this book, Atomic Habit. There was in 20 chapters, so we have already read. But yesterday we will uh, totally finish this book with a conclusion and what should you read next. There are some suggestions. So, guys, again, I am requesting you. It's a 15-day of 100-day challenge, and I'm continue reading from last 15 days. You can watch in my previous videos that I have continuous uploading a video from 1 to 3, like 1 to 15 days. And also, if you find any suggestion, comment me below, or you can direct touch into me, either calling or messaging on my WhatsApp number, which is 98739 This is this number is in description box as well. So, guys, please keep hard working, keep practicing if you really want to be successful and want to get in a rich person club. Be practice, do practice, guys. Be patient and do practice. Till the time, goodbye.